dice, and I've been looking forward to this review for a long time, okay? Today, we are talking about Cypher System Rulebook, all right? Part 1, because I don't think I can do it all in one go. Fry Guy, please hold on to that for me, okay? The Cypher System Rulebook is by Monte Cook, Bruce R. Cordell, and Sean K. Reynolds. A complimentary copy was provided to me for review. Let's check it out. Let's read the back together. All right. Oh my goodness, there's a lot to the back. Any character, any campaign, if you can imagine it, the Cypher System makes it easy. The Cypher System is the critically acclaimed game engine that powers any campaign in any game. Lauded for its elegance, ease of use, flexibility, and narrative focus, the Cypher System unleashes the creativity of game masters and players with intuitive character creation, fast-paced gameplay, and a uniquely GM-friendly design. GMs find the game easy to prep for and easy to run. It frees up your attention to focus on cool, creative ideas with minimal mechanical burden. Players love the concept-based character creation system and mechanics focused on narrative engagement. Easy to learn, but with all the depth and nuance you want. The Cypher System is powerful, sophisticated, and flexible. The Cypher System Rulebook includes the complete Cypher System game rules, special rules and advice for 9 specific genres, including fantasy, modern, science fiction, horror, superheroes, and post-apocalyptic. 4 character types, 50 descriptions, and more than 90 foci that let you build interesting, concept-driven characters for any genre. Plus rules and guidance for modifying or building your own types and foci suited to your particular campaign. Loads of equipment and hundreds of ciphers and artifacts, nearly 60 creatures and non-player characters to populate adventures in any game or any genre. Great GM advice on adapting the Cypher System to a variety of settings and on running fun, engaging, fast-paced, easy-to-GM game sessions. All right. Now, I've been looking forward to this. All right, ever since Monte Cook Games sent me the book, oh my goodness, I've been looking forward to this. I wanted to share this with you guys. Of course, Monte Cook Games has excellent artwork. It's a beautiful book. All right. So what is the Cypher System? The Cypher System is the game system originally designed for the role-playing game Numenera, but now it has been made into a universal game system, which is what this book is. So you can make whatever game you want using the Cypher System, from fantasy to sci-fi, post-apocalyptic to superheroes. Pretty much any game you want to make, you can do it with the Cypher System. All right. So what is this book? This book is everything you need to play and run the Cypher System. It has character creation, it has the rules, it has monsters and NPCs, it has a lot of advice and guidance to help people make the game and characters that they want to play. What's in it? So here you can see the main sections. The main sections of the book are the Cypher System. It is the character rules. The characters, the character section and the rules. Sorry, reading some stuff as I'm trying to do this. Genres, game mastering, and then some back matter. So what does it? So first, we're doing part 1 today. Part 1 is going to be, what does the Cypher System have for players? Okay, when I look at this book. You see the 2 columns here? When I look at this book, I think of this whole left column for the players, okay? This is like I guess you would say like the player's handbook for the Cypher System, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And so we're going to take a look at this today, and then in my next video, we'll take a look at the GM stuff, all right? So looking at the player stuff, so opening up these beginning, like, it's essentially like articles, but it's basically saying, I love what Monte Cook writes here. Ultimately, what we all want is to play precisely the game we want to play. Game masters all have a perfect setting in the back of their brain. Players have that one character idea that would be their best character ever if they could just have the chance to make and play them. Those dreams of playing exactly what you want to play are why this book exists. All right? So, kind of giving you why did they make the book? Anything goes. This is like a word to GMs, you know, that you can do genres. If you can't come up with a setting, they do sell setting books, flavoring the rules to your setting, just real quick. So, but that stuff aside, now we're getting into what I would consider stuff for the players. So how to play the Cypher system. This is awesome, okay? So it's only from page 7 to page 12. 12? No. Yeah, page 12. And it's just a real quick rundown of how to play the Cypher system. And I mean, it is an excellent, concise rundown of how to play. It gives you the really necessary rules. And so the heart of the Cypher system, if you haven't played Cypher System or Numenera, it kind of works off this table right here. The heart of the system, the core mechanic of the Cypher system is this. A character is attempting to do something. The GM assigns that task a difficulty from 1 to 10. Then modifiers are applied. Then the task difficulty is multiplied by 3 to give the player the target number that they need to either meet or exceed. So, for an example, say the player wants their character to jump from one rooftop to the next. The GM sets the task difficulty at 3. The character is skilled in jumping, which lowers the difficulty down to a 2. 2 times 3 equals 6, and that's the target number that the player has to roll to succeed in that task. Hopefully I explained that well. Other complexity can be added depending on the situation, but that's the core of the system. Task difficulty, modifier, multiply by 3 for target number, and roll. It is a pretty easy and quick mechanic. All right? So this gives you a quick rundown. So you can use, if you love the battle grid, you can use a battle grid with Cypher System, but they do more like abstract ranges, even though they do give you feet if you want to do the battle grid. So the range and speed, immediate distance, short distance, long distance, and very long distance. It just works really well with like narrative games. But if you do want to use the battle grid, it does give you the feet. All right, feet and I think meters. Yeah, feet and meters. Okay, so if you're using the metric system, you're covered here too. Ciphers are one-use, really powerful items. And then the dice that you'll be using in the game is typically a D20, D10, D6. All right? So now we're going to get into probably the biggest chapter in the book, or the biggest chunk of the book, which is creating your character, right? So creating your character. So a character has 3 stats: might, speed, intellect. Those stats are pools, so you'll have a pool of points in each one of those stats. Say, 14 might, 10 speed, 9 intellect. And you can spend those points to give you a level of effort, which then brings a task down in that difficulty table that I had showed you earlier. Right here on page 15, this little sidebar right here is worth its weight in gold. This gives you the 5 steps to creating your character. 5 steps to creating your character, okay? Not a whole bunch of this, that, and, go here, go there, and 28 steps later, you've created a character. No, 5 steps to create your character, okay? Doesn't mean that the characters are shallow. No, you can really craft the character that you want to play. And do note, like, we're going to look, and you're going to see tons and tons and tons of character options, okay? There's hundreds, if not 1,000 special abilities, all right? That doesn't mean that all of those would be in one game, you know. What you can do in a sci-fi game is going to be different than what you can do in a World War II game. You know what I mean? So you wouldn't use all of these options. You would pick out the ones that make sense for the game and the genre that you're looking to create. All right. So it gives you effort and damage, because you can also spend points to increase your damage. Give you an example. So character tiers. Character tiers is kind of like your level. And as you get experience points are a little different in this game. But you accumulate experience points, and you can do some other things with them. But you can also obviously progress your character with them. You spend 4 experience points to get one of these advantages, and you gotta purchase 4 of these advantages, and then you go up a tier. So if you're tier 1 and you get 4 experience points and you want to spend them on one of these advantages, you spend it and your character gains that, and then you get 4 more experience points later on, and you spend that, and you gain the next advantage, and you do that till you've gotten all 4 of these advantages, and you've gone from first tier to second tier character. Okay, and then you do it again at second tier, and again at third tier, and that's how you go up in levels essentially in the Cypher system. Now, a character really breaks down to a descriptor, type, and focus, and each one of those is going to decide mechanical things about your character. So, you know, how many might points your character starts with, and special abilities usually come from your foci. So your character sentence is essentially your character's boiled down into one sentence. It's a really cool way to do it, and you can really make the character that you want to play. Now, when it comes to skills in the Cypher system, there's no set skill list, because I mean, if you're making a sci-fi game and then you make, like, you know, a game set in the Roman Empire, there's going to be different skills for those games. So, you know, star piloting or starfighter piloting wouldn't make sense if you're playing a Roman centurion. So there's no set skill list, but they do give you an example skill list, and you can use this if you want. Skills help you lower the difficulty even further in that task difficulty chart that I showed earlier. All right. So next up is types. So this is part of your character sentence. Your type is essentially your character class in other game systems. Okay. There is 4 types. I think 4. Hold on. Warrior, Adept, Explorer, and Speaker. Yeah. Now, warrior is just a general term, but you want to kind of fit it to the genre that you're making. So right here it gives you some examples. If you're running a fantasy game, you might call a warrior, but it could be a fighter, a swordsman, a knight, a barbarian, a soldier. You know, it also gives you modern or science fiction or superhero, post-apocalyptic examples. I mean, I guess you could just use the general term warrior, but if you really want to, you know, kind of get into the flavor of your game, you're going to want to, you know, you can call it a security officer if you're doing science fiction, you know, or a trooper, you know what I mean? Anyway, so this is the warrior type. It gives you player intrusions. A player intrusion is where a player gets to trade a, I forgot how many XP points. 1 XP point, I think. No. Oh my goodness, I'm losing it. Anyway, you can trade XP to do a player intrusion where you get to take control of the narrative for a brief moment and have something happen, usually beneficial to you and your party. So here's some example warrior player intrusions. if you're going to be the warrior type, here's your starting pools and might, speed, and intellect. And then your first tier warrior, your starting warrior, gets these things. So you get an effort. Your effort is 1, which means you can only spend 1 level of effort. And then you get these other abilities. And then down here, you get to choose, what is it? You get to choose 4 of these abilities down here. Now, a GM might decide that in their game, warriors are only going to be knights or something, and so he might restrict what abilities can be chosen here. But if the GM doesn't, you have a list that you can choose from. And if you look real close, I don't know if you can see it, but it gives the ability name and then the page number that you can find that ability on. Okay. And of course, I haven't mentioned this, but all of Monte Cook Games books pretty much have these wonderful sidebars that help you cross-reference throughout the rest of the book, where you can find more information, or it gives you helpful notes on whatever the text is talking about. So then you have the stuff for 2nd tier, 3rd tier, 4th tier, 5th tier, all the way up to 6th tier warrior, which is where the Cypher system tops out. Now, warrior background connection. Your type helps determine the connection you have to the setting. Roll a d20 or choose from the following list to determine a specific fact about your background that provides a connection to the rest of the world. I love these things. I love roll tables, especially ones that affect the players and get them more involved in the world. And so let's just say 17, okay? You know what? Let's roll it out. 4, okay? 4. You trained with a highly respected mentor. They regard you well, but they have many enemies, okay? So player can use that. GM can use that. GM can definitely use that, okay? They give you an example of a warrior. And then on to the adept. And the same, all the things that they did for the warrior, obviously they do for the adept and the other types. So the adept is going to be, so your warrior was obviously, your fighting type, your frontline type. Your adept is going to be more like your magic user, your psionic type of dude. And then explorer. When I hear explorer, I think like Indiana Jones, you know what I mean? But you are a person of action and physical ability, fearlessly facing the unknown. You travel to strange, exotic, and dangerous places and discover new things. This means you're physical, but you're also probably knowledgeable. Okay, so I think kind of like a rogue or something. You can throw down some, but you also know a lot of stuff. You dig what I'm saying? And of course they have the roll table for the connections for the explorer as well. They had it for the adept, and then their speaker. Let me try to get this in frame here. There we go. You're good with words and good with people. You talk your way past challenges and out of jams, and you get people to do what you want. That charismatic character, here he is, you know what I mean? Once again, it gives you examples, different genres. So in fantasy, obviously a bard. In modern, maybe you're a diplomat. In science fiction, maybe you're a legate. And superhero post-apocalyptic, charmer, mesmerist, puppet master. Okay, hey, I haven't played much of those genres before, but that sounds pretty cool. And of course, you get your starting stat pools, you get your D20 connections to the world, your tier abilities, and of course, because this is a universal game system, you can customize the types. If you're a GM that's trying to run a certain type of game, you can customize the type and make it fit to your game. You can include drawbacks and penalties, things like going to complicate things for the player, but adds to a good story. The next is flavor. Now, you don't have to include flavor, okay? Flavor is not part of the character sentence, but this is an optional part, okay? But you can make like a warrior with a stealth flavor, and it gives you what a flavor does is it gives you special abilities that you can choose to take over your type abilities. So these are additional abilities that you can choose over your class abilities, if you want to put it like that. So there's stealth flavor, technology flavor. Oh my goodness, can't read. Magic flavor, combat flavor, skills and knowledge flavor. So you can make that adept that's good at combat if you want to be like a warcaster or what have you. You dig what I'm saying? But a descriptor is part of the standard sentence, and that's what we're talking about next. Now, a descriptor does give you mechanical bits for your character, but it also, in my opinion, gives you that role-playing bit, that role-playing fuel for your character too, because it's describing your type is kind of like your class, and that kind of tells you what you're going to do in the world, and your foci is kind of that your character's like really specific thing that they're good at, but the descriptor kind of tells you about the character, about who you are and what you're like. So you might be appealing or brash, you might be clumsy or clever, and it lists all the description or all those descriptors here, but I'm just showing you that like it gives you the descriptor, and then it kind of describes it, and then it gives you a little bit about it. Say you're cruel. Oh my goodness, like a cruel adept. That's a little scary. But then it gives you some mechanical bits, and then you get down to initial link to the starting adventure. So why would this character get involved in adventuring or in this adventure to begin with? And that's awesome, because I've had players just like sit at the table and I'm just like, okay, so why are you on adventure? And it's a basic reason, but this helps them come up with like 4 different reasons that they can choose from on why this character would be involved in the adventure to begin with. Right? So hardy, graceful. There is a lot. I love mad, like just crazy. You know what I mean? I think of like a mad adept, crazy psionic guy or something like that. I think that sounds kind of cool. So there's a lot of descriptors: skeptical, rugged, risk-taking, sharp-eyed. You want to make Sherlock Holmes sharp-eyed. You know what I mean? That could be it. Strong-willed, tough, and weird. Hey, there's my descriptor. You can customize descriptors, and later on it even shows you how to use a species as a descriptor. So your descriptor could be elves. So you could be an elf adept or a dwarven warrior. You dig what I'm saying? And the species descriptor will give your character mechanical bits. All right, so on to foci. Now this is really awesome. The foci is that thing that your character does that's unique. Now, you can have multiple players at the table be warrior or be adepts or whatnot, and they can even have the same descriptor, but you don't want 2 people at the same table to have the same foci, because this is their special thing, okay? The special thing that they do. And you only want one character to have a foci. What's cool though is it helps. They even give you something here. I think it's wonderful. I think it's 100 table. No, okay, it's 50. It's 50 ways to connect the characters at the table, and it's usually it can be around the foci. So let's let's say number 17. Pick one other PC you were once hired to track down someone who was close to that character. Oh, okay. So now that adds a little more of a role-playing bit, a little more of a story bit that the players and the GM can use during the game. I like it. I like it. Anything to kind of bring players in and get them engaged with the story and see the world and really get into it. You can have a story behind the focus. Maybe it operates undercover, conducts weird science. But here is the bread and butter. This is really what I'm so about it. I know I'm losing words here, but here's the foci list, and this is where you take that mad adept, that crazy adept, and you really make him something. Maybe he emerged from the obelisk, and this gives him special abilities per tier because that's his thing. Or maybe he grows to towering heights, howls at the moon. You want to be a werewolf? Huh? There you go. So you could be a crazy adept that howls at the moon. Or maybe you want to be a modern day brawler slash nightclub bouncer who fights dirty. You know what I mean? Or let's see, what's something else? Is wanted by the law. You know, you could be in a sci-fi setting, and maybe you're a mercenary that. Oh wait, maybe you're playing a Firefly role-playing game. I don't know if I can mention. Okay, who cares? Maybe you're playing a Firefly role-playing game, and you're wanted by the law. You dig what I'm saying? So there's just tons of foci, and once again, you want to use all of these in one game. In the back, when I go over the GM stuff, there is a campaign sheet, and the GM fills out or just checks off boxes. Here, I'll actually show it. I'll show it now, even though I'm going to go over it later. The GM just checks off the boxes on what descriptors and foci are available in the game that you guys are playing. So that makes it super easy, okay? Super easy for a GM to say, look, these are the foci that make sense for the game that we're playing, and those are the ones that you have the ability to choose from. All right. And you can flavor these however you want. You know, is wanted by the law, you could make that, maybe they're wanted by a certain organization. Maybe they're wanted by, a certain guild or something. Maybe they crossed a certain gang. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be the law, but that's just what they put in here. But you can flavor it however you want. You dig what I'm saying? Like one of these, there's an ability where you summon a demon. Well, I don't play with gods, demons, or devils in my game, so the demon is a level 5 monster. I would just find a different level 5 monster, and they could summon that monster. You know what I mean? You don't have to play it word for word and exactly how it is right here. You can change things, you can flavor things, you can change things. You can make the game that you want to play, going right back to the first page of this book. You dig what I'm saying? Slays monsters. You want to be a monster hunter? I dig it. And there's even ones that you wouldn't think would be here, but I could see it in like maybe a modern game. Would rather be reading. You know what I mean? So you have that right across the page from wears power armor to works miracles. You know what I mean? You could do so much with the Cypher system. And then you can even create new foci, and then they give you guidance on how to create new foci. That is awesome. It's not just like, hey, you know, best of luck. You can create a new foci. Hey, best of luck. You know what I mean? And they even help you categorize your new foci, and I keep saying foci, it's foci, sorry. And then later on, they help you choose abilities for your new foci. Like they are really great to the player and the GM in this book. I love it. Thank you, Monte Cook Games. Oh my goodness. And if you can't tell, the artwork is amazing. Through this whole book, the artwork is amazing. Okay? Love it. Get to so the descriptors and the type and the foci, they give you the mechanical bits about your character, and you get special abilities. Well, what do these special abilities do? Glad you asked, because like for the next 90-something pages, it explains all the special abilities. But, well, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So if you're making your own foci, it breaks down the special abilities into these categories, so you can assign special abilities to the foci that you're making. But you get past that. That's more for the GM. You get past that, and you get to the actual ability list. And now, you know, if you had the absorb energy, special ability. It costs you 7 intellect points. You touch an object and absorb its energy. If you touch a manifest cipher, you render it useless. If you touch an artifact, roll for its depletion. If you touch another kind of powered machine or device, the GM determines whether its power is fully drained. In any case, you absorb energy from the object touched and regain 1d10 intellect points. If this would give you more intellect points than your pool's maximum, the extra points are lost, and you must make a might defense roll. Oh, you overcharged yourself. The difficulty of the roll is equal to the number of points over your maximum you absorbed. If you fail the roll, you take 5 points of damage and are unable to act for 1 round. You can use this ability as a defense action when you're the target of an incoming ability. Doing so cancels the incoming ability, and you absorb the energy as if it was a device. Okay, so somebody throws a fireball at you, and you're like, no, and you just you like put your hand up, and your hand swallows the fireball. Yeah, okay, do something, homie. So I love it, and that's just one, man. That's just one, and there is hundreds, if not 1,000, abilities, dude. Oh my goodness. Expert pilot. You are specialized in all tasks related to piloting a starcraft. Specialized means that you don't just knock down the difficulty of a task by 1 level. You knock it down 2 levels, and that's all tasks related to piloting a starcraft. So you are a hotshot pilot, dude. So all these special abilities, man, you could craft the character that you want to play. I'm telling you. And you don't have to call it, you don't have to call it golem healing. This may be the mechanical bit that you use, but you can call it whatever. Maybe in your game it's elemental healing, or maybe in your game it's just psionic healing, or whatever. You can call it that, but you just use this mechanical bit. You dig what I'm saying? Lovely artwork. Love it. Dude, just pages and pages of abilities. I'm telling you, like, it is insane. So, started on 108, the ability list, and it goes to what? It goes to 200. So, 92 pages of abilities? Okay? You can make the character you want to make. You want to make a game that you look around and no other publisher has made. You can do it. And guess what? Cypher System has an open game license. There's 2 different ones. So go check out which one you want to use. But Cypher System has an open game license. You love to write games or something? You can use this to make your own game and publish it. Just follow the license. All right. So, oh my goodness, I have to say the Cypher System is fast becoming my favorite system. All right. Overwatch. You see a ranged, it costs 1 intellect point to do. You use a ranged weapon to target a limited area, such as a doorway, hallway, or the eastern side of the clearing, and make an attack against the next viable target to enter the area. This works like a wait action, but you also negate any benefit the target has from cover, position, surprise, range, illumination, or visibility. Further, you inflict 1 additional point of damage with the attack. You can remain on Overwatch as long as you wish, within reason. That's cool, man. And once again, you can call it something different in your game. You just use the mechanics in that ability. Just tons of abilities. I was looking at one where you have a like it was a foci where you get a magical creature that's linked to an item that you carry on you. So, you know, you can think of a genie in a lamp, or, you know, I was thinking, because I used to play Magic the Gathering, and I remember the card Deranged Hermit with all the squirrels and stuff. So I was thinking of like a squirrel that like comes out of like my ring or something like that. And, you know, you start out with just this little creature, and then like later on, this creature becomes like, as you grow in tier, the creature becomes more and more powerful. You know what I mean? And I'm just thinking of like this monstrous squirrel that I can summon out of my ring or something like that. Yeah, I'm weird. But, you know, if I was normal, that would be boring. So, anyway, that's just tons of abilities. I love it. And then so, I mean, I could spend 3 videos just on the ability list. Okay. I don't have time for that, but Wraith Cloak. I'll read one more. Wraith Cloak. Try to get in frame here. At your command, the spirit from your Spirit Accomplice ability wraps itself around you for up to 10 minutes. The spirit automatically inflicts 4 points of damage to anyone who tries to touch you or strike you with a melee attack. With the Wraith Cloak, while the Wraith Cloak is active, all tasks to evade the perceptions of others are eased. Now, you know, the foci that has that, maybe it wouldn't make sense in your game. So you say you're not playing with spirits or whatever. So that wouldn't even be an option in your game. But say it is, but you're not playing with actual ghosts. Maybe you're playing something like the Matrix or something, where you're inside of like a computer program, and it's not a spirit, but like a sprite within the program that wraps itself around you. You can flavor this however you want for the game that you're making. Okay. Onto equipment. So this equipment chapter is only a couple pages, because they get into equipment later when they get into the genres, because they make genre specific equipment lists. But this just kind of goes over that in general, they don't really worry about pricing. They just leave it as more like price categories, like inexpensive, moderately priced, expensive item, very expensive, exorbitant, and using the categories. Armor in this game, armor, it reduces the damage that you take, okay? But the heavier the armor, it increases the cost of you using a level of effort for your speed, from your speed pool, okay? So if you're wearing heavy armor, it's going to increase using a level of effort by 3. So it's slowing you down, but when you take a hit, you're negating some of that damage. Shields actually help you negate attacks against you. And then weapons, they're categorized in light, medium, or heavy, and they typically do damage according to that category rather than specifically to a weapon. But each weapon usually comes with something about it that makes it special. Like a sniper rifle will be a heavy weapon, which does 6 points of damage, but it also lets you shoot at long range. You dig what I'm saying? Rules on explosive weapons and ciphers, which are one-use items. Of course, you want to fit items to the setting. And going over real quick on the equipment section, because the equipment's going to come up later when I do the GM video, because I'm going to go over the genres, because the genres have item specific or genre specific items. Now rules, the rule section here is going to be everything you need to play the Cypher system. So actions and key concepts. Once again, that task difficulty table. I told you the heart of the game. The heart of the game is you want to do something. There's a task difficulty. You apply your modifiers, your skills and your foci and everything. And then wherever you land on this, so maybe you started at a 6 and now you got it down to a 2, multiply that number by 3, and you get 6. That's now your target number that you have to roll on a d20. That's the heart of the game, okay? But yeah, they talk about skills and rolling the dice and effort. Assets is anything outside of spending a level of effort that helps you bring that target number down, or that difficulty number down. That's an asset. All right. Maybe you got really great gear. Maybe you're doing maybe you're climbing a sheer cliff face and you got the best climbing gear imaginable. That's an asset. Okay. What I really love is you ever play a D20 game and you rolled like an 18 and it's not a crit, but that's still a really great roll, and you're like, dang man, that's a good roll, but I didn't get anything out of it. Well, in this game, of course, if you roll a 1, it's a GM intrusion, so the GM gets to make your life a little harder. But if you roll a 17 in this game, you get to deal an additional 1 point of damage. Okay, hey, it's not like an all-out crit, but you rolled good and you got a little extra something for it. Degrees of success, I would call that. If you roll an 18, you get to deal 2 additional points of damage in your attack. And if you roll a 19, you get to either deal 3 points of additional damage, or you get to do a minor effect. It's like a minor crit. In addition to the normal results of the task, if the roll was something other than attack, the PCs get a minor effect in addition to the normal results of the task. So maybe you hack that computer extra well and you got a little more information than what you were trying to get. Or maybe if it is an attack, maybe you knock the opponent back and his next attack is the difficulty or maybe he's at a disadvantage now. So when he attacks the players and you roll a defense roll, it's easier for the player to defend against the attack. And then if you roll a 20, it's a major effect. If you're rolling a damage dealing attack, it deals 4 points of additional damage, or the PC gets a major or minor effect in addition to the normal results of the task. If the roll was something other than an attack, the PC gets a major effect in addition to the normal results of the task. If the PC spent points, get this, if the PC spent points from a stat pool on the action, the point cost for the action decreases to 0, meaning the character regains those points as if they had not spent them at all. So say you spent, like 5, say you spent the 2 levels of effort to bring a task difficulty down. and that would have cost you 5 points. And from your pools, and you roll a 20, you get those 5 points back, plus you get to do the critical effect. Okay, so that's really awesome. It really rewards you for rolling 20s. I mean, of course, every system rewards you for rolling 20s, but I really love it. I love it. You get your points back. You get either your choice of doing +4 damage or a major effect. You know, maybe you knock the enemy prone and he loses his next turn or whatever. A GM intrusion, that's where the GM gets to make your life a little harder. A minor effect. Okay, yeah, here I am trying to come up with stuff. Here's the examples of the minor effects. Major effects. Retrying a task after a failure. Yeah, if you fail, it's a little harder to retry a task. Distances, we went over that. There's immediate distance, short distance, long distance, very long distance. Once again, if you're playing with battle grids, they do give you the feet/meters. Timekeeping. Initiative in this game is pretty cool. Every monster has a level. So like, let's say a level 3 monster. You times that level by 3. Just like you do in the test difficulties, that gives you 9. So you're fighting a level 3 monster. It's time to roll initiative. You roll, and anybody who gets a 9 or better goes before the monster. Everybody who gets below a 9 goes after the monster. Love it. Initiative is simple. Thank you. Actions, of course, so you can attack. You can attack, activate a special ability, move, wait, defend, or do something else. That's going to be your actions in combat or during an encounter. Damage is done to your pools. Remember, I was talking about that might, speed, intellect. Usually an attack is damaging your might pool because it's damaging your body. So if somebody's slashing you, you know, it's you know, it might do 2 points of damage if it hits. And that's going to do 2 points of damage to your might pool. And once your might pool is out, then it does damage to your speed pool. And once your speed pool is out, it does damage to your intellect pool. And if all your pools are 0, guess what? You're dead. Okay. And as you run out of pools, you begin to go down the damage track, which I think comes up later here. But armor decreases the amount of damage that you take. Of course, there's, you know, damage from hazards like falling and fire and such. The damage track, yeah. So if you run out, say you hit 0 in your might pool, you go from hail, which is, you know, your normal state, to impaired. And impaired is a wounded or injured state. When an impaired character applies effort, it costs 1 extra point per level applied. For example, applying 1 level of effort costs 4 points instead of 3, and applying 2 level of effort. An impaired character ignores minor and major effect results on their rolls, and they don't deal as much extra damage in combat with a special roll in combat. A roll of 17 or higher deals only 1 additional point of damage. When an impaired PC takes enough damage to reduce one of their stat pools to 0, they become debilitated. So yeah, you move down this damage track until eventually, if you have 0 in all 3 of your pools, you're dead. Okay, so you want to use your pools, but you also want to keep an eye on them, because you don't want to hit 0 in your pools and start going down this damage track, because then it's going to get harder for your character, and eventually they're going to die. But you say, riddle me this, Batman. How do I get points back in my pools? And that's your recovery rolls. And those are kind of like, you know, short rest, long rest. But your first recovery roll only takes an action. It doesn't take a very long time. It just takes 1 action. You can do it right in the middle of combat. And so you're going to roll 1d6 plus, what is it, 1d6 plus your tier. So if you're tier 1, you only get +1, and you get that number of points back, and you can put those points in any pool that you want to put them in. Okay, and as you get points back in your pools that you had 0 in, you go back up the damage track, okay? NPCs and monsters and stuff, they don't have pools. They just have regular HP that you do. And of course, they have rules for cover and position. Of course, illumination, invisibility. You want to fight in water. By the way, look at that artwork. Love it. But yeah, there's rules if you're fighting in water, doing like a pirate adventure. Do it up. Shooting at moving targets. You want to attack objects, and you want to spend your turn moving rather than attacking. You can do that. Defending. Try not to take too much time on some of this stuff. There is rules for. Oh, I totally forgot to tell you. So the GM does not roll usually in this game. Not even when the monsters attack, okay? The GM does not roll. The players roll. The players make pretty much all the rolls in the game. So how does that work? The player character attacks the monster, and so they roll and they try to beat the monster's level there. And then when it comes around to the GM's turn and the monster attacks the player, the GM doesn't roll an attack roll. The player rolls a defense roll. The player rolls to defend against the monster's attack. Okay, and when I do the GM video, we'll get into monsters levels and how and defending against them. But just for the sake of example, see this monster is a level 4 monster, which means to attack him, you need to get a 12 or better, and to defend against this monster, you need to roll a 12 or better. Okay. So just real quick. But back to the rules. There is rules on crafting, building, and repairing. So that's especially going to come in handy when you do your post-apocalyptic games, right? Healing. So you got a down buddy or whatever, you can heal them up. Some other actions: looking or listening, moving a heavy object, sneaking. Are you a sneaky sneak? Right there. You get into vehicle movement and vehicle combat. So you want to pilot a starfighter and go against a big old starship. You can do that. Various size starships and everything. You can go to war against that, and you can attack particular systems and disable them. That's pretty cool. There's optional rules like gaining insight. Optional rules on like giving out XP. You can have followers in the game. NPCs that do things for you. Let's see, anything else? Some optional rules, skills from backgrounds. You can do that using miniatures. So if you're the type that likes the battle grid and the the squares and all that, you can do that. Tactical play. They do give you some possible drawbacks to that, but you can do that. If that's your game, if that's your thing, you can do that. The Cypher System's more of a narrative game rather than like a hardcore tactical game, but you can use it for that. I like more like abstract distances, or I like to put a picture on the table and to give people an idea of where everything is, but not do like a full battle grid. You dig what I'm saying? All right, and experience points. GM intrusion. So a GM intrusion happens when someone rolls a 1. The GM can make your life a little more difficult, but also throughout the game, the GM can do a GM intrusion. Say you're fighting on a cliffside and it had previously rained, and the GM says GM intrusion, your foot slips and you begin to tumble down the cliff edge, and you got to get your bearings before you go off the side or whatever. that's a GM intrusion, and when the GM does that, the player can either spend one of their XP to not allow the GM intrusion, or they can accept the GM intrusion, and the player gets 1 XP, and then they get an additional XP that they get to hand out to another player and kind of give a narrative reason why the other player would get the XP. I think that's really cool. I mean, there's other games where the GM just makes your life hard and you get nothing out of it other than a harder time for your character. But in this game, the GM gets to make your life a little harder for a better story, not just to make your life a little harder. That's just kind of being a jerk. But for a better story. You dig what I'm saying? And you get something out of it. You get an XP, and then you get to hand off an XP to a friend. Let's see, character arcs I'll get to in just a minute. Of course, you can get other things other than XP, but you get awarded XP in this game, not for like the monsters that you beat up, but for discoveries that you make or progressing in a storyline. Okay, it's a narrative game. Remember that it's a narrative game. There's enough mechanics to have a wonderful time. That it's not like fuzzy when you're doing this or that. So I'm not trying to make it sound like you're just sitting around telling a campfire story. It's not. You have rules to do what you want, but it's more about the story, and the mechanics help you tell that story. Okay, and you can spend your XP to get those advantages that help you go up tiers. You know, progressing your character, right? But also there's immediate benefits. You know, you can spend an XP to re-roll a bad roll. You know what I mean? So you really need to make this roll, otherwise you're going to tumble off the cliff, and you roll and you get a 2. Your character's going off that cliff, but then you spend an XP and you get to re-roll that, and hey, you got a 17. Great, your character didn't die today. So, and there's different ways that you can spend XP. So it gives you short, medium, and long-term benefits. But like I said earlier, there's those advantages that you can purchase leading up to going up a tier. Here they are again, but also you can make the GM can make their own advantages, and they give you some other options, which I think is cool because you're not stuck in just using the options that they chose that you would have to purchase to go up tiers. You can say no. You can add 2 to your recovery rolls, and that's something you can purchase with your XP. But this is what I want to get into is character arcs. Character arcs. You choose a character arc for your character. You don't have to. You don't have to choose a character arc. These are optional. You don't have to choose a character arc. But if you do, it adds to your character, and it helps the GM award you XP because you know you have something that your personal character is moving towards. You know, whether it's to defeat a foe or explore a place or justice or I don't know, redemption. Maybe you had a very public downfall and now you're trying to build yourself back up. As your character moves through the steps of his or her character arc, your GM can award you XP as you move through your character's personal story arc. So it gives you, as the player running the character, a way to play your character and goals for your character, and something to work them towards. But it also gives your GM a way to award you XP other than the regular ways. So I really like character arcs. You don't have to play with them, but I mean, if I was playing a Cypher game, I would choose a character arc for my game if they're allowed. train a creature. You want to, it's kind of very Pokemon-esque. But anyway, that is the end of pretty much the player stuff that I had talked about, the Cypher System characters and the rules, the left-hand column, which I said essentially is like the player's handbook in the Cypher System rulebook. The GM stuff, I mean, obviously this contains all the GM stuff as well. Everything's in one book. You only need to buy this book. The GM stuff, the genres, the game mastering, and the back matter, I'm going to cover in my next video. But this one was just part 1 on the stuff for the players. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you to Monte Cook Games for sending me a complimentary copy that I can do a review for you guys. There's going to be more Cypher System material coming on my YouTube. I'm pretty much in love with Cypher System now, and I'm going to be focusing a lot more on Cypher System games. So let me know what you all think. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know anything that you guys want to know about Cypher System or experiences you've had with Cypher System. Leave it in the comments, please. And I'd love to get a conversation going more about Cypher games. I'm probably going to be reviewing, after I get this one done, I'm probably going to review the Magnus Archives role-playing game. That one runs off the Cypher System. The damage has changed a little bit in that game, but it runs on the Cypher System. And I'm going to be doing a full review of the starter set for the Cypher System as well. So I got a lot of Cypher System material coming up, and yeah, if you guys have questions or comments or anything about Cypher System, leave them in the comment section, and I'll try to address them in future videos. Hey, thanks for watching, and you know the deal, man. Grab some friends and roll some dice, bruh. Let me try to shut this thing down.